the Foreign Minister Winston Peters, who is with us live on the phone this morning. Minister, good morning.
Good morning. Now, you're coming from that break, not early, you're coming from a very late, like 5 minutes late. And forget your DIY kitchen. We're parked up here in the car park trying to get a plane to Wellington, waiting for the Ryan Bridge show.
Minister, my apologies to you. Can you give us an update, seeing as you're in such a lovely mood this morning, can you give us an update on the situation? Has the government formed a view? Yesterday I was watching your press conference, you said, look, the government hasn't have any view on the US and its strikes yet. Does the government have anything to say about it?
Look, really, we'd be wise because far too many people are beating their gums off about what's happening when they don't know. Our job is to find out and inform our ministerial colleagues and discuss this as a cabinet before just shooting off our mouth and giving our opinion. We'd like to know all the facts. We'd like to know the level of enrichment. We'd like to know the level of preparedness that are going towards nuclear weaponry in Iran. And you've got to remember this. Look, Iran has been involved in my whole lifetime. They've never won a war and they've never lost a negotiation until the last few days, where they were given up to 2 weeks to make a decision and they hadn't got there. So this is a very difficult circumstance. I'd rather find out all the facts, tell my cabinet colleagues, have a decent discussion, and then tell the public what our view is.
Yep, that's fair enough. Labor is calling this a breach of international law, says you should do the same.
Well, again, you know, if you've got somebody who's not a lawyer telling us what a breach of international law is. Well, I am a lawyer and I'm keeping my counsel until I find out all the facts, such as what was the level of enrichment concern that might justify an action. We don't know what that is at this point in time, and that's why I say if we're representing a country and the interest of this country is important, we keep our counsel till we know the facts.
The Atomic Energy Agency says the enrichment level was more than what would be needed for civilian purposes, but not quite enough to reach military grade.
Well, they could not possibly know that either. Now, it's the reality. They could not possibly know the level of preparedness because they'd gone way past the agreed negotiated level, which we'd all knew about. Remember this? All these discussions in prior times? And now there's something new. And frankly, in my view, they'd breached international agreements. Iran cleared as daylight, and there's no use in arguing about it.
So Iran has breached the international agreements and we don't trust the numbers from the Atomic Energy Agency. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think the Atomic Energy Agency could know that with the certainty that they're claiming. That's my point. And I'd love them to justify that to you. Tell me to what degree of preparation do you think their run was at? Give us the exact figure, and they can't.
So who do we rely on then for this number? How can we be certain that this was a justified strike or not?
Well, like in most circumstances, when scientific or in educational or in legal circumstances, you try and find out all the facts. And we've got to find the facts out.
Does New Zealand want regime change in Iran?
Well, whether we want it or not, it's up to the Iran people, and they will be most unprepared, given they've had 40 years of absolute oppression from the women to everybody else in their society. Do I think the majority of people want regime change? Yes, I do. Do you think they're going to get it? I think it's very unlikely because every alternative potential change of government scenario has been demolished by these extremists. And extremists they are.
Minister, are you a bit frustrated by the number of people who, I think you said, came out of the woodwork at the last minute over the last 24, 48 hours to register themselves with MFAT as being in either Israel or in Iran? And is it frustrating that we have to send a plane there to potentially get them out?
Well, it's frustrating because for months we've been telling them this is a dangerous place to be. Don't be there. Particularly with respect to Iran, we've been saying that. And then we're dealing with 46, we thought, and all of a sudden we're dealing with 98 in Iran, and that's how life is, of course. But they're people with New Zealand citizenship. They've got fundamental rights, and yeah, it is frustrating, but that's what we do as a country. We've got an enormously proud record of stepping up, and I just wish some people would sometimes say thank you, the New Zealand taxpayer, for the good country we are.
Well, thank you to the New Zealand taxpayer for the good country we are. Appreciate your time this morning.